Disclaimer, there will be spoilers mentioned in this video, so if you haven't seen this film and don't want me to give anything away about it, this is your warning to go watch it first and then come back. Also, everything said in this video is just my opinion based off of personal experiences. Feel free to agree or disagree as you wish. After all, this is just a personal critique. Enjoy the video. Today for Cowan Critiques, we are criticizing probably the most famous Disney Channel movie of all time, Descendants. Descendants was released on July 31st in 2015. Whoops, I missed the 11th anniversary, but it's never too late. Directed by Kenny Ortega and screenplay written by Jason McKibben and Sarah Perriott. Starring Dove Cameron as Mal, Sophia Carson as Evie, Cameron Boyce, RIP, as Carlos, and Boo Boo Stewart as Jay. Oh, and Mitchell Hope as Ben, aka our main characters. Our story starts with Mal giving us a little summary about Belle and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and how they were crowned king and queen of Auradon. And one of their first acts was to send all of the villains from all of the Disney stories to the Isle of the Lost, with a magical barrier to keep them trapped forever. However, their son Ben is about to become king, and his first proclamation is to have the children from the Isle of the Lost live in Auradon, specifically the children of Maleficent, the Evil Queen, Cruella de Vil, and Jafar. And after getting his parents' approval by making a great point that children of those who are evil are born innocent, so they're most likely innocent, we get our first song, Rotten to the Core, introducing these four teens, Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos, and showing us just how bad they truly are. They just do everything they want because they're just so bad and they're so rotten to the core. I'm sorry. Now, Maleficent is very excited for them being selected because her plan is for them to steal the fairy godmother's wand. That way, she will be unstoppable. So, you know, just using her own child for personal gain. But before they go, she gives Mal her spellbook, and the Evil Queen gives Evie a magic mirror. You know, weapons that they had from the past and now passing it down onto their children. Oh, how sweet. When they get there, they meet Ben and they find their dorms, and on their first night there, they sneak out to go to the museum to steal the wand. But when the teens come across statues of their parents, Mal starts having doubts about whether she can pull this off. But in reality, she just doesn't want to disappoint her mom. Which brings us to our next song, Evil Like Me. And after that song, Mal regains her confidence and they actually find the wand. However, of course, it's protected by security, and when Jay tries to grab it, the alarm goes off, so they failed the mission. The next day, they go to their first day of school. They go through classes. Jay and Carlos get onto this like lacrosse kind of team, and Ben and Mal are slowly getting to know each other. Also, Mal is trying to be friends with Jane, aka the daughter of the fairy godmother, you know, to use her for her own personal gain and get the wand. And Evie tries to get with this guy named Chad, who is Prince Charming's son, because she's always wanted to marry a prince and live in a castle. Kind of takes advantage of her and makes her do his homework. But in this scene, she also finds out that the wand will be at Ben's coronation, and they are all going to get to go for free. So the group asks Ben if they could be in the front row during coronation, you know, to steal the wand easily. But Ben tells them that the only ones allowed to sit up front are his parents and his girlfriend, aka Audrey, who is the daughter of Sleeping Beauty. And this gives Mal the idea that if she becomes Ben's girlfriend, you know, she'll be able to sit up front, steal the wand, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. So they make a love spell in the form of cookies. And in this scene, we get a really nice detail in the story. And this happens when Lonnie comes into the kitchen, aka Mulan's daughter. She comes into the kitchen and she talks about how she always loved getting chocolate chip cookies from her mom, and you know how she was just so loved as a child. And this puts into perspective that the villain parents never gave their children a real childhood filled with love, just like Lonnie and a few average people have had before. Honestly, nowadays it's getting to be average to not have a great childhood, and this detail is really crucial to the character's development later on, But yeah, I really liked this detail. It's like a realization we never had like a proper childhood. Like Lonnie's childhood is so different compared to ours. Lonnie's childhood is like supposed to be normal and ours is not normal. So that's a problem. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm just talking out of my butt. Anyways, they give the cookies to Ben and he instantly falls for Mal. And we get to the next song, Did I Mention, where he confesses his feelings in front of everyone, including his current girlfriend, Audrey. Very brutal, but she gets back at him by getting with Chad. So I guess she's fine, except for Evie because she wanted to be with Chad. And actually later on, Chad like tattletales on her because she had been cheating with the magic mirror to get good grades. But the teacher's just like, oh, if you take this test, then you know you'll pass and I won't actually expel you. So she takes the test and she passes. Whoa, she's actually smart. Fast forward, Mal and Ben are going on a date. They're getting to know each other, but Mal is starting to feel bad for putting a spell on Ben because Ben says something along the lines of,
we're not our parents, we get to choose who we want to be.
And Mal also realizes that she might want to stay in Oridon with Ben because being good is not so bad. And she tells us this in the song If Only, my favorite song that I actually still listen to today. Okay, after the song, I have to point this out. So before the song, Ben like goes swimming and stuff. Mal starts singing, but in the 2 minutes that she's singing, just now realizes that Ben has not come up for air once. She just casually got lost in her own voice, forgetting that her boyfriend could be drowning. Ben is fine because Mal jumps in to like save him and she doesn't know how to swim. Me too, queen. So he saves her instead, and when they're out of the water, Ben says,
I totally thought I loved you. Do you love me too?
So as a kid, I always thought this line was super strange, but I figured out why the writers put this in, and I'll reveal why later. Moving on, the group is continuing their plan to steal the wand, and Mal is going to break the love spell. However, the teens don't feel that motivated anymore to steal the wand because they're actually starting to love their new life here. You know, there's just so many new experiences around them, new people. They actually get to like have fun for once. You know, that's kind of what going off to college is like, being on your own, not having your parents tell you what to do. But they might want to start rethinking that because when they're at an event, Mal meets Aurora's mother, and this grandmother goes off on Mal. I mean, it's very fair for her to be upset because she never got to raise her daughter. At the same time, don't take it out on a teenager who had nothing to do with it. You're like a 70-year-old woman. Chill out. Then one thing leads to another, and a fight almost breaks out between Jay and Chad, but Evie knocks him out with a potion, and Ben gets blamed by his parents for the group's actions, ending the day in a disaster, and everyone hates them. The next day is the coronation, and Mal gives Ben the reversal love spell. However, we get the answer to why Ben said, I thought I loved you. He said that because Mal's spell washed away in the lake he swam in because it's enchanted. But Ben was not putting on an act when he got out of the water to pretend that he was still in love with her, because he was always in love with her. And that's why even when he eats the cupcake to undo the spell, it has no effect because 1, the spell already washed away, and 2, he has always loved her. I thought that this was pretty clever for the writers to do because it actually continued in the 3rd movie, like with the lake being enchanted and stuff. And it's just really freaking cute. So the ceremony begins. It turns out that Jane snatches her mother's wand from her and breaks a hole in the barrier from the Isle of the Lost, and Maleficent escapes. Mal manages to get the wand from Jane though, and Ben convinces Mal not to listen to their parents. So the villain kids choose to be good because it was the only thing that made them happy in the end. However, Maleficent shows up and she turns everyone frozen like statues. So Mal, Evie, Carlos, and Jay fight Maleficent in dragon form. How do they win, you may be asking? By having a staring contest between Mal and her. And then she turns into a lizard, aka the size of the love in her heart, which is itty bitty. Alright, and the movie ends with a celebration and one more song, Set It Off, which is my least favorite song because I had to sing it in elementary school, but whatever. Now, I'm also assuming that the fairy godmother like fixed the hole in the barrier because no one else escaped and no one just mentions it, so I'm just gonna assume that she fixed the barrier. But yeah, that's the end of the movie. So now I will be giving my overall thoughts and rating this movie out of 5 stars. So even though it has been years since I've seen this movie and the other 2 movies, movies, I can actually say for certain that this movie was better than the other two. And I can also say that the message behind this movie is so much better than I remember it to be. As a kid, I thought the whole point of the movie, kids who were raised by evil people turned out to be good. But instead, it was about breaking away from abusive parents to live a life with love in it. They discover themselves, fall in love with new people, and they find out what makes them truly happy, which wasn't the bad acts that they did on the aisle, doing whatever they want. It was being respectful and having fun with these new experiences and these new friendships. Now, it definitely still has the Disney cringy acting. Literally, Dove Cameron and Boo Boo Store made fun of the acting. We can all admit that it's really cringy, but I do love the songs. The aesthetic and sets were completely on theme and they were gorgeous, and the editing and cinematography were great, and the story was simple, but it was also really powerful. I give this movie 3 stars. This is actually a higher rating than I thought I was initially going to give this movie. The only thing about it is that they over dramatized the acting so much. Some of it wasn't necessary. Also, the character development for Mal was a little too dramatic. Like, it happened a little too fast, but for everyone else, it was nice and gradual. Descendants was a better movie than I remember it being as a kid. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved this movie so much as a kid, but now as an adult, I actually appreciate its morals and the similarities it has to what it could be like being raised by abusive parents or just vile people in general, along with discovering yourself and realizing that you don't have to follow society's standards / expectations of you, especially your parents. It's really hard to break away from your parents, and I loved how they touched based on that a lot in this movie. And yeah, it was a lot better than I remember it to be. So thank you guys so much for watching this week's critique. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next film or Cowan critique. Bye!